We are back. You are chatting with John P. Today we have with me Federico Talks Watches, also on YouTube, and Del Rey Watch. How are you?
Chilling, man.
Excellent. Thanks. Thanks for joining me.
Doing a little email work, and then you're like, "Oh, we got a video." I'm like, "Okay."
He was snoring, taking a nap.
Nap time.
It's been a busy day for Federico. Anyway, guys, today we are going to be talking about Tudor watches. We've been getting comments and calls here asking not only for certain Tudor models, but also questions about what is going on with the brand. And I do have a working theory that I'm going to refresh you on, also get his opinion, as well as a little bit of a story about where we went and saw some Tudor watches. So we will cover that. Today, on the wrist, I have a Piaget Altiplano in white gold. We have this at delraywatch.com. I love this. What do you think about this?
I mean, I'm in love with it. I used to work for Piaget. I sold a ton of those. I mean, $23,000 retail, in-house movement, hand-decorated, ultra-thin. And guess what? We have it for under $9,000.
Some of the best value horology out there. And
honestly, right up there with Moser.
And what do you have?
Today I'm still wearing the Hulk. This morning I was a little late to work, so I didn't really have time to shave or change my watch. I grabbed the first thing on the kitchen counter. Well, no, I take it off and put it on the kitchen counter, and on my way out, I just picked it up and put it
straight out of the microwave.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Tudor. Oh, also, don't forget to check this out at delraywatch.com. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Check him out. Link in the description below. And Instagram, The Real John P. and Federico Talks Watches. Moving on to the topic, Tudor. We have to do this.
You got to do the plugs.
Tudor watches. Now, I've got this theory. If you're not familiar, if you watch the channel, you know that I'm still holding strong and true to my theory that the guys that were buying Panerai watches once upon a time moved directly over into the Tudor watches lineup when Tudor came out, and you can see it in the sales numbers. I also did a previous video about Panerai. But now I'm seeing something interesting with Tudor watches, and I would say that I'm seeing a little bit of a decrease in the demand, especially in the primary market. Now, I can say that Federico and I, we were having dinner. We were at Bell Harbor Shops. We walked into the Tourneau store, which is obviously an authorized 80 for Tudor. And what did we see?
Every single Tudor model in stock. All the hard... Well, okay, correction. Pepsi GMT Tudor on a bracelet was sold out, but the 58 was in stock.
Didn't they have it on a strap, though?
They had it on the NATO. Yeah, they had it on the NATO. But everything else, the 58 was in stock, all the black bays, the new two-tone black bays, which, by the way, I think is a super hot watch.
Oh, yeah.
Love that watch. In stock.
The bronze?
Every
model.
Almost like 95% of the lineup was available for purchase right there.
Including the 58. And for some of you, this may be shocking. And for some of you that are not really that close to Tudor, or it's not your favorite brand, it might not make a big deal to you, but we do get calls from guys all the time either trying to trade in a Black Bay 58 or they're looking for a 58 and also the Black Bay GMT, and recently they're a bit surprised when we tell them that they're fully in stock pretty much everywhere.
Wait, but I have a theory, okay?
We're full of theories here on these channels.
I'm not saying Tudor's selling badly.
Okay.
I think Tudor's super hot. I mean, it's a brand that does well in general. But it's owned by Rolex, and it's meant to be the lower-end, entry-level Rolex that sells units. Many people accuse Rolex of false supply issues to keep demand high. I kind of agree with that. But Rolex will produce as many Tudors as they can sell. Rolex's goal is to never have a sold-out Tudor in any Tudor-authorized dealer because it's the entry level. It's not supposed to compete with Rolex. It's not supposed to be hard to get. It's not supposed to be rare. It's not supposed to go up in value. It is entry level, so it's supposed to make up the numbers. They want to sell as many as possible, and if that means 10 million a year, guess what? They're going to make 11 million. It's never going to be something that really holds value. It will hold value because it's in demand, but nothing that will have collector value, apart from, there's a couple of exceptions, like the Black Etta, Black Bay. But generally, yeah, it's not a prestige brand. It's a brand to make money. and to get people to eventually buy Rolex.
Sure. I mean, it is, from their family of companies there, it is their more approachable line, even though for some and for many, it is still a very much luxury item, and it is a fabulous watch.
It's a great watch. It's expensive. I'm not poo-pooing it.
Official term.
I'm just saying, people buy a $3,000 Black Bay and they're like, it's going to be a collector's item. No, it's not. No, it's not, because they're making as many as they can sell.
And so, in summation, when we make this video and we're talking about in roundtable kind of what's going on with Tudor, I really want to drive home the point now for those that maybe get the call, because maybe you're in a city where you couldn't get a Black Bay GMT or you couldn't get a Black Bay 58, and you get the call and you're excited and you think you can get, over retail price for it. You think you get 10% and then call us or put on the forums. Unfortunately, it's not the case. They're very well in stock out there. They're trading much lower pre-owned than the retail prices. Tourneau was very liberal with they wanted to throw a discount at us without us even asking. They're like, we have some very great pricing.
Well, because, the supply finally caught up. And that's going to be the future of Tudor. I mean, it might be sold out every so often because it's a hot watch. I'm sure people will go into Tourneau and buy that Black Bay. But they're going to get it again in 2 weeks.
And you mentioned the future, and I think that's a great segue, because I think it's fair and it's a decent idea for us to talk about where we think the future of Tudor to go. Because I still think that there's a pool of guys, and leave in the comments below if you agree or disagree at this point. I think that there's a pool of guys that are attracted to rugged, durable, and yet somewhat approachable, relatively speaking, watches that may have come from Panerai, may have come from other places into Tudor.
Absolutely.
And now they're fully served, I feel, because Tudor's not coming out with new crazy models. They had all these Black Bays, boom, 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 and everyone needed the latest fix, and there's nothing available new from them.
Yeah.
So where do you think that Tudor's going from here?
I think Tudor's going to stay exactly where it is. I think it was invented as a brand for either people that don't want to spend the money on a Rolex, or genuinely for people who can't afford a Rolex. Or maybe you can't afford it, but you just don't want to spend the money. As I said, it's meant to be the baby brother to Rolex, and there's nothing wrong with that, but Rolex, it will never be.
What if you had to say, and then I'll respond with my opinions on this. What model do you think they're lacking that would really allow them to either become a little bit better, or maybe you don't think they need to? Like, is there a model you think they're lacking?
I think they're doing fantastic as is. I don't think they're really lacking anything. If you twist my arm and force me to kind of come up with something, like a Cellini alternative, which makes very little business sense because Cellini is the worst selling Rolex line. But if I look at it and I really had to be forced to tell you, maybe a dress watch, like on leather, but ultimately they don't really need that either, right?
Yeah, I mean, in response, I think that Tudor has created, kind of like what you're saying, they've created a bit of machine for themselves, with the Rolex name, pushing Tudor along to the side. I think they created a little bit of a machine for them to pump and dump watches where they necessarily can't do that in order to protect long-standing worldwide brand image of Rolex.
Yeah, Rolex is protecting the Rolex brand. Rolex doesn't care to particularly protect the Tudor
But
brand.
in terms of their product lineup, I think that they do need to come out with something a little bit more interesting or exciting if they want to gain a little bit more traction that they were on the road for. I mean, maybe they need to revisit the Ranger series, right? I mean, that was not very popular. Maybe they need to revisit the Tudor Advisor. The original Tudor Advisor is Advisor was a rock star.
And the new one was awful.
It's horrible. It's this big chunky piece of metal.
Well, here's the thing.
It sells so low.
I'm, if anything at all, but I feel, and a lot of people on the forums feel this way as well, where that Tudor's kind of used as a platform for Rolex to experiment. Like, people are saying Rolex might come out with a titanium watch. And then, obviously, the experiment for that would be the Pelagos. It hasn't happened yet. But Rolex doesn't experiment at all. Like, Rolex is super... I mean, I love them. I'm wearing one, but they're super boring. Like, they're selling billions of dollars. Leave it the way it is.
I mean, they came out with the Sky Dweller, right? And that was entirely novel.
Well, yeah, they came out with the Sky Dweller in precious metal. I worked at an AD. We couldn't give the shits away.
They're all fairly desirable.
Now they're desirable, but back then it was supposed to be their Halo watch, and guess what? Nobody bought it. The Sky Dweller.
So, I mean, I guess we could just boil this down to Tudor is really at a pivotal point where they've had all this traction from all these hot models, and now it's kind of settled down, and they can either choose to do some new and interesting and exciting things that they were doing and keep growing, or they can just pump out the machine. I want to hear, and I'm sure he wants to hear, in the comments below what you think the future of Tudor has in store?
Honestly, they're owned by Rolex historically. I just say they're going to keep pumping out the machine. They make money. They print their own money. I don't think.
Let's hear what they have to say.
No, sure, I would love to hear it, but that's my opinion. My
Leave in the comments below.
Is they have no incentive.
If someone can find an incentive, I will pay you money. $100 to the person who finds the incentive. Go. Anyway, guys, hopefully you found this comical. Just wanted to have a roundtable discussion about Tudor. This is a conversation we have in the office every day, and I want you to have it in the comments below. You can find me on Instagram, The Real John P., Federico Talks Watches, DelReyWatch.com. You have been chatting with John P. with Federico Talks Watches. Ciao.
Take care.